What is up, peeps? SWTVHD here, and I'd like to welcome you back to another YouTube video. And today, I'm going to be telling you why you need to keep an eye out for the new upcoming GX card, Banette GX, or Banette GX, however you want to pronounce it. I pronounce it Banette. I don't know if that is right. But this card is looking to be pretty damn good. Now, let me tell you why. But before we do get into that, I do want to give you the info on the card generally, just so we can have a good understanding. It is a Stage 1 GX Pokemon. It has 190 HP. It is a Psychic type Pokemon. And it has 1 retreat cost, weakness to dark, and resistant to fighting. So let's actually go into what it does before we discuss why I think it's going to be good. So first off, we have the ability Shady Move. Once during your turn, before you attack, if this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, you may move 1 damage counter from either player's Pokemon to another Pokemon, yours or your opponent's. Basically, once during your turn, you can move damage counter from one Pokemon to anywhere on the board you'd like. So your end, their end, that's what the ability does. Now, we have the first attack, which is Shadow Chance for 1 Psychic Energy. It's 30 damage plus 10 for each supporter in your discard pile. You can't add more than 100 damage this way, so you're maxing out 130. And then you have the GX attack, Tomb Hunter GX. Put 3 cards from your discard pile into your hand, and that's that. So let's start off by saying, okay, Stage 1 GX means it's a little less consistent than a basic, obviously, but it's not problematic. There's so many Stage 1 GX that are dominating the format. In fact, a lot of GXs that are dominating the format are Stage 1s, so Stage 1 is not a problem. Now, one thing that's a problem is the HP. 190 HP is what you get for a basic GX. Think of Buzzwole, Mewtwo GX, you have Ultra Necrozma GX, you know, those are basics and they're 190. So with Banette being 190, that's very low for a Stage 2. In fact, I think that's the lowest we've had for a Stage 2. 210 would definitely be better. And it's really big because numbers do add up. And if someone hits you for weakness, it's a lot easier for them to get you. It's just something that's going to be very hard to work around on your end. However, let's get into the ability. Being able to move one damage counter per turn will add up eventually. It definitely will add up. It won't be something big, but it makes the maths work. You can turn an even number into an odd number. You can turn an odd number into an even number if you need to hit those numbers. So here's an example. You're hitting 130. Let's say you got all your 10 supporters in the discard pile, and you have a choice band, 160. You have a Lele in front of you. You have 10 damage on you, or anywhere else. You can have 10 damage. Your opponent could have 10 damage on his end. You move that to a Lele and you hit it. That's a one shot. The Lele is gone. For 1 energy and a choice band, you can destroy Lele in 1 shot. That is huge. Of course, we need to meet the condition of the supporter cards. And I think we all know how exactly we're going to get supporter cards in the discard pile a lot quicker than, let's say, in 10 turns. 10 turns is ridiculous. Of course, we have Zoroark. Zoroark is just going to trade those supporters away. You play this deck with a thick supporter line, and you just play a bunch of supporters, trade them away. Play 4 Bridget, for all we know. I believe this comes out, by the way, before rotation. This comes out in our Celestial Storm set, so we can play Bridget. We can play these cards. So play 4 Bridget, 4 Guzma, 4 Sycamore. Obviously, that means you're going to have to reduce the items you play, which Zoroark loves to use, but that's just the way the strategy of the deck is going to work. I'm sorry, but 1 energy hitting 130 damage, that's crazy. Because if you think about it, decks like Zoroark Galaisapod, one of the best decks in the format, is doing very well, not only generally just in tournaments itself, it's doing very well. And that does 120 for 1 energy. And you need to retreat to get that. Now, of course, there's other things like Armor Press and Cross and Cut GX. But great thing is with Banette, you can do similar little tricks. You know, you can use your Ace of Rollers if you really need to pick it up. If it does take a lot of damage, it's pretty good in that sense. You can use Max Potion if you want to just remove 1 energy and then go back in and attack. 1 energy attacking Pokemon that hits big damage is really good because there's so many little things you can do to really help boost its consistency as well as boost its ability to stay alive and do damage at the same time. The ability is great because it helps you tank as well. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun, and it's the synergy behind these attacks are pretty good. So the thing is, right, Zoroark Galaisapod is good, but you have to retreat. That means you have to meet that condition every single turn. If you get 10 supporters in your discard pile early in the game, the condition's met. You don't need to do some silly stuff like retreat every turn. You can just get any Banette out you want, and the condition is met, which is fantastic. It means you don't have to worry about doing things like retreating for Zoroark Galaisapod. You don't have to worry about doing things like manually evolving and devolving or scooping up on a Lucario GX. This one is just get the 10 supporters in the discard pile and you're good to go. You're good to go. Now, there is one card that will counter this, and luckily, it's not seeing any play at all, and I don't think it ever will, but it is Lysander Prism Star. This allows you, of course, for every fire Pokemon on your bench to take any card from the discard pile and put it into the lost zone. So they could have 6 in play and then take 6 of your supporter cards and throw them into the lost zone, which means your damage is reduced heavily. But that card is not seeing play, so that's not a problem at all. We don't have to worry about that. So there's really nothing countering this. Now, Psychic type and weak to Dark, there's pros and cons. Similar to the way people look at Dawnwings and Necrozma in the Malamar deck, right? You don't want to get it out if you're playing against the Zoroark. So in the mirror matchup, this is going to be pretty hard to work around. But it's fantastic against Malamar because it's not weak to Psychic and it hits for Psychic weakness. So you're knocking out things like Necrozma GX and all these mini non-EX-GX Pokemon that are being played in Malamar that are Psychic type. You can just one-shot them very, very easily. And of course, this one-shots Buzzwole. Obviously, that's something we need to be aware of. However, I do want to make it clear that Buzzwole is slowly falling off the grid now, which is great. It's still as strong as ever, of course, but it's slowly falling off the grid because every single tournament, everyone is looking to counter Buzzwole. So it's very hard just to play Buzzwole because everyone is so prepared to counter it. So it's very hard to play in tournaments. However, that does not mean Buzzwole is not good anymore. But if you come up against a Buzzwole, hey, you're good. One shot. GX Attack. That's been proven to be good before. It's exactly the same as Decidueye's GX Attack. Being able to access your discard pile to get cards you need is great. If you could play that, you could play Puzzle of Time. You could have a lot of access to your discard pile, which has never proven to be a problem in any deck. Having access to your discard pile in late game is as similar as to having access to your deck in the early game. So if you can sit there and go, hey, I've got all these cards in the discard pile, I need some of these, GX, bang, you've got them. Now, of course, you are left in the open because you haven't done any damage. So it's a bit, if you're doing that, let's say if you're playing against a deck that 2 shots as well, you always want to get the shot first. You want to get the hit first because you hit, they hit, you get the knockout, right? So if you're leaving yourself in the open like that, you're open to being 1 shot or 2 shot. It's kind of iffy, like it's iffy. It's very iffy. It's not really reliable in that sense because you're not doing any damage. However, that GX is when you really are in a dire situation where you need to get some cards out. So, but yeah, this deck with Banette Zoroark would have a lot of access to your discard pile. It doesn't need to use much energy. It can tank. It can switch damage around. It can do big damage for 1 energy. This deck will be good. It will 100% be a good deck. So keep your eye out for it. It is coming out in the upcoming Celestial Storm set, soon to be released in August, I believe, the first Friday of August, and that would be the 3rd of August, so it should be then if I'm correct. So keep your eye out for this. If you put it in a pack, try and keep a hold of it, try and get a play set, and try and practice and use it around with Zoroark. I also want to mention resistant to fighting. I did forget to mention that. Again, Buzzwole, bang, that's perfectly fine. 1 retreat cost as well, just want to add. That's great because using 1 energy to attack, which means you're not going to have any problems retreating. Escape Board gives it free retreat. Floatstone, obviously, but Floatstone will go post-rotation. So this card is, again, looking pretty good in post-rotation as well. So keep an eye out for this card. Keep it with you. As I said, try and get a play set. Don't just trade them away if you get it because you never know. This could be a very, very good card in the future. Anyway, I'd like to thank you guys for watching and do take care. Peace.